Now to discuss if the judge is going to have an impact on this jury as it now goes into their hands is April Preyar. She is a defense attorney herself and has been following this case very closely. So first of all, this judge, what do you make of his antics in the courtroom, so to speak?
He is certainly a character, and he does not hold his opinions to himself. He has definitely inserted himself and his personality into the trial, but honestly, that's not unusual. Every judge has their own style, they have their own courtroom rules, and some are just more outrageous than others. And he just happens to be in the spotlight right now.
So I guess the big question is, does that impact the jury, that style?
It absolutely impacts the jury because the jurors all defer to the judge. They see him as the person with the highest status in the room and say, oh, if this person who is running the courtroom keeps yelling at this one individual attorney, that attorney must be unethical. That attorney must be doing something wrong. If that same judge then praises a particular witness or singles them out, oh, this witness must be someone that I need to listen to. This must be someone I must trust because this is someone that the judge highlighted. So it certainly has an impact how the judge conducts himself in the courtroom, what he highlights, what he draws attention to, and it sways jurors for sure.
And it's his courtroom, so if he's going after the prosecutor or the defense attorney, nobody can really do anything about it.
That's the problem. The attorneys don't have a whole lot of control in that situation, especially in front of a jury. You don't want to be seen as the bully. You don't want to be seen as the squeaky wheel. You don't want to be seen as the one who's constantly jumping up and down and objecting, because you also want to be likable in front of the jury. And so you just kind of really let a lot of things slide. You might save it for sidebar. You might save it for argument when it's outside of the presence of the jury. But you can't keep jumping up and down and saying, Judge, you're beating me up, you're being a bully, you're being rude, you're being loud, you're singling me out when the judge is when the jurors are in the judge's presence.
Right. So they just got to deal with it. All right, let's talk about the word of the day. To me, watching everything today was provocation, right? We kept hearing it during closing arguments. So the prosecution told the jury today, you cannot claim self-defense against a danger you create. What does law in Wisconsin say about that?
That's absolutely what the law says. Basically, you can't create calamity and then benefit from it. So in this instance, they are saying that Kyle Rittenhouse basically created this series of events that took place by initially pointing his weapon in the direction of some protesters, rioters, whatever term you choose to use. And that is what then began the series of events. And therefore, if he was the one who provoked the situation, he then can't cry and say, oh, well, I was defending myself, when he is the reason that that course of events took place. And so now they're saying that he provoked the situation. It was a small victory for the defense to be able to get that instruction sent back to the jury. And the problem, however, is if you are the one who provoked it, but then you retreat, then you can again argue self-defense. Mm-hmm. And the video clearly shows Mr. Rittenhouse retreating. So that is a problem, even though the instruction is going back to the jury, even though that was a small victory or a pretty big victory for the defense. For the prosecution, now it's another issue because he did retreat, because then you're supposed to use all necessary means available to you to retreat from that situation, and it appears from the video that's what he did. Right. So does that then throw provocation out the window? We will see once the jury deliberates.
And how about his testimony? Very emotional on the stand. Did that help or hurt his case?
I have seen a split of views online. I think it humanized him to a good number of people who saw him as a scared teenager, who was surrounded by adults, who was surrounded by a bloodthirsty mob, and it humanized him. And then others saw it as crocodile tears. They saw it as he's faking, he's using emotion to his benefit, that it was clear that he had been prepared very well for his testimony. But then it also seemed, well, perhaps he was also prepared to evoke this emotion at a certain moment during his testimony. So there's a split.
A lot to unpack there, and now it's up to a jury of 12 to decide. April, good to see you as always. Thank you.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.